Hi, Minesh Baxi here. Thanks for coming. As you know, I'm your host here, and I bring fun, interesting guests who have something of value to offer. And quite often I'm learning from them, and hopefully you're learning from them as well. So here is our interesting guest for today, whose background, and he'll tell you more about it in a minute. So Dan, welcome, Dan Bennet.
Thank you, Minesh. I appreciate you having me on.
Good. Now, I didn't know until recently that he and I have something in common. We both came from engineering background. Is that what you told me
Yes,
just now?
yeah.
So tell me a little bit about it, because I was an electrical engineer.
Okay.
I was a computer programmer for a while.
Very cool.
So
Yeah.
go ahead and tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, in a nutshell, I was good at drafting in high school, and it was one of those situations where a teacher said, "You're good at this, you should go to school for it." Got into the industry early. I was a mechanical engineer by the time I got out of the industry. I often say I love engineers who are passionate about what they do because we need them, but I wasn't one of those. I was good at it,
It sounds like me,
but I
man.
hated it. So I took a year off, and I was in a band, and we toured, and I
Okay.
did all of our merchandise and website and all that because we had to. I had to
Okay.
save that money and do it myself. And through that, other bands needed artwork and merchandise as well. And I'm like, I can take my creative spark and make money off it. I don't have to be an engineer. So I kind of found my way. Yeah.
Interesting. And my journey was a little different. I was a computer programmer for 12 years, and I'm not a good employee.
Yeah, yeah.
I know it's not one of those things which is my strength.
I
I
concur.
like being more flexible, more free, create my own calendar so I can get up when I want to. I do get up at 5:30, but that's
Yeah.
by choice,
Yeah.
not because I have to get up to certain places. And that's one of the reasons why I'm an entrepreneur. And I want people to be able to understand that you can have a lot more freedom of time
Yeah.
and money if you understand what it takes to be there.
Yep.
Now, one of the things which is growing is videography.
Yeah.
And I know that's your expertise, and there are a few other things that you are an expert at. So just for our viewing audience, what are some of the things that you specialize in that you would like people to know about?
For sure. My company is Cellcore Creative, and I say that our company is an authentic story development company, which is a mouthful, but it basically means that we help organizations tell better stories because a lot of them are really terrible at it. They're making noise and they're putting out marketing and advertising, but they're not all telling great stories. The number one medium that those stories get told through ends up being video for a lot of our clients. Yeah, so we work with really big names all the way down to individuals and startups and small companies as well.
Interesting, because I was reading a book called Seven Stories That Sell.
Okay.
And it's by an Australian. Great book to read, in my opinion. So if you are somebody
Yeah.
who likes reading or audiobooks or whatever you like, and he has a lot of video clips as well. And the part that was interesting is stories have a way of what I would call is going through the filter system easily
Yeah.
to connect at an emotional level where people suspend whatever their barriers are.
Yeah.
And if you and I can do that, people listen to stories. Like once upon a time, it's like suddenly you are transferred to a different point.
Right.
And the more people understand the power of story, the more they understand how to tell a story, they're likely to connect with their market, with the people that they really want to engage easier, in my opinion. And I think that's
Absolutely.
what you're trying to tell. Isn't
Yeah,
it true?
absolutely. I often say that one of my challenges in what it is that I do is taking cliches and making them important again.
Okay.
Oftentimes I talk about the word awesome. Everyone uses the word awesome. It loses its meaning.
Correct.
And I always tell this little anecdote about being at the Machu Picchu ruins,
Yes.
experiencing this amazing thing, and then taking a second to look off the back of the mountain where there's no people, there's no ruins, seeing this amazing thing and kind of accidentally whispering like, oh, that is awesome. And it was the first time in my life as an adult I'd said that word, but it meant what it was supposed to mean. So I feel that story is one of those words that gets used a lot now.
Correct.
It's kind of trendy and all that. So I'm trying to give power back to what that word means by diving in and pulling story from other people.
So when you talk about stories and you talk about your clients, so is there an example you can give, like maybe the content creation process where somebody's story can be told?
I think so, yeah. I have a real estate client right now, Andy Hayes, awesome
Okay.
guy. And
Good to promote your clients,
yeah.
no problems.
Andy, if you're watching, and he was telling me as we were discovering his story through our process that he ends up being friends with a lot of these people. He's invited to their housewarmings after they've bought a home and all these different things. And I'm like, there's our angle. You're friends with these people. So instead of saying, hey guys, or hey whatever, when he puts content out, he says, hey friends, because that's where he wants to end up being with you. And then he gives a ton of free value to people, because know, like, and trust is what we're all after. So like, it's his way of telling his story and getting, if you're going to make the content anyway, you might as well tell a great story. Getting that information through to potential clients of, I think I want to work with this guy because it looks like he actually cares about the end result and wants to be friends. So yeah,
I think that's a good way to put that, in my opinion, as well. So again, stories, and again, all the audience know that whenever we talk about stories, I've been to Disney World, you may not believe it, 200 times. Okay. And the reason I mention that is Disney has created that allure of a story. All the fairy tales, and they all start with an interesting character at a different time, certain situations, and then there is transformation. And then at the end, obviously, there is whatever positive you can get out of it. And I think most people, like in my case, I was a computer programmer, I struggled with it, and I really didn't enjoy my profession, so I had to find something different to do. And I ended up going into being a speaker, author, and a business coach, and it's a lot better fit for me than what I did before. But it was a story of not knowing where to go, not having clarity, and then struggling through the process and eventually finding a destination, so to speak, where you feel that you are more at home than you were before. And I think your journey, your story is similar to that respect. So how do you use some of these ideas? How do you use that through videography? How do you help clients? Give me a little bit more examples, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm super glad that you used the word clarity, because that's a big one for us. So again, story is this trendy word, and people are like, oh, everyone tells me you need to tell a great story, but I'm like, how? So we actually work on those things. I use a very filmic approach.
Okay.
One thing that you see in movies that make movies great is the fact that the problem or the obstacle gets a huge spotlight. No one avoids talking about the bad because the hero doesn't win if the bad isn't overcome.
Correct.
A lot of businesses will not talk about the bad. They won't talk about the struggle. They won't talk about the dark corners. They just want to talk about, problem solving and all the features and benefits of what they do. And I often encourage people to treat their messaging like a movie, like a script, like a book. Make it interesting because you're up against a lot of other people. And don't shy away from talking about the bad, because that's what you're helping people overcome is the bad.
Well, very interesting you should say that, because I've published 9 books by now. One of my books is called Stop Hiring Losers, and I have a few other books as well. And obviously that's the other side of the story, right?
Right.
But the reality of the previous side, the evolution part, was I struggled. Somebody told me, Minesh, you should write a book. So I said, okay, I'll go start writing a book. And I started writing a couple of different books. The first one was How to Change Your Career Before Your Career Changes You. But after a few pages, I ran out of steam. I didn't have a clarity on that either. Then I started another book called Stop Stopping, Start Starting. Do you know what the problem was? I stopped.
You stopped. Love it.
And then I realized that I didn't have what I needed, which is what I tell every entrepreneur, is like, whenever you set up an important goal that you really, really want, you need to have a structure. You need to have support, and you need accountability. If you don't have those in clear way of supporting you, you won't really get your goals. So I needed to go find a coach who had already the proven strategy. And once I followed the strategy, I was able to not only publish 1, but obviously 9 books. And I think that's where you come in play, right?
Absolutely.
So you are giving people an awareness that just giving information is not enough. It has to have a twist. It has to have that vulnerable portion of who you are, what you are going through, and how you came to the other side. And you still may be working through it, but at least that people can see you can provide something that will help them.
Absolutely.
Is that pretty much?
100%. You've nailed it. There's a part of our process that always gives me a little chuckle, and it's when people see the work they got to put in during our creative discovery. So when we're onboarding new clients, they're like, whoa, there's a whole bunch of stuff I have to do now. And it's like, yeah, we have to pull a story from you. We have to put this structure in place. I got to know where the story's going when we're done. What medium is it going to end up in? And these are all things that happen after the story's developed. So there's a lot of times like, oh man, but then by the end of it, it's like, wow, I didn't even know that story was inside of me. Thank you for pulling it out, because it's work.
It's work, exactly. So you do videography and storytelling combined, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So give me some tips that people can watch, learn about it from your experience to say, here are a couple of things that if you did, number one, you'll do a better job of videography.
Yeah.
Number two is you'll tell a better story.
Yeah. There's actually a branch of my company called 1 Minute Media where we help individuals who can't afford to have a full production done but can
Okay.
shoot their own video.
Okay.
And so I really think about these things a lot that you're asking about because it's like if all you got is a cell phone, it's a great place to start. Here's what you can do. So always try and get near some light. You know, we're in this gorgeous studio. There's
Correct.
light everywhere. It makes it a little easier. If you're on your own, try and
Yes.
get near a window or turn on some lights that maybe you don't use that often. Go around your house, go around your office, see what works for you. And then this is always up for debate, especially in the film community, but I stick with it. I think audio is twice as important as the picture that you're seeing. So if you're a little blurry or you're outside and it's bright and I can't quite see you, but I hear you really, really well, you can keep me engaged. But if I can't hear you, it can be the most gorgeous video ever, and I'm going to turn away from it.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, and that can be done simply with the earbuds that come with
Okay.
your phone, your smartphone. They're not the most attractive thing to have in, but if you have them, plug them in because you're going to get better audio through that little microphone that's on your earbuds. So it's a simple first step, and then there's a lot of other ways to capture audio. But I would say get near some light and audio first.
And what is your tip on certain types of cameras which might be in the market? Let's say level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is obviously your cell phone.
Yeah.
And these are much better than what
Well,
they used
yeah,
to be.
It's
I can't
getting
believe the quality
interesting.
compared to what I
Yeah.
used 10 years ago.
It's getting interesting. Yeah, smartphones might end up being a level 2 type thing pretty soon because you can already.
They're all HD pretty much, right?
But yeah, and they're selling lenses for them now. They go
Really?
on the outside of them, but still,
Okay.
and you're getting really great pictures and stuff. And that's a whole nother show I could go into. But I would definitely say you got a smartphone or you know someone who does for the most part, especially if you're in business. Go ahead and turn that thing on. Another quick tip, if you trust yourself enough, is use the front-facing camera only if you have to. Use the main camera if you can. So you don't get to look at your screen while that's happening, but you can get pretty close and
Tell me
maybe
a little
do
bit
some
more. I
tests.
don't think I quite followed that.
So most people put their phone up and you have your forward-facing camera, the one that's facing you for selfies and stuff, and they'll
Correct,
film with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the camera on the other side is a much better camera. So if you trust
Interesting.
yourself enough to flip it and point it at yourself, even if you have to use a cheap little tripod or something, you'll get better image quality. So step one, I would definitely say smartphone, especially like you said, they've come a long way. Step two, I would say, and I've bought a lot of used equipment in my life, and I trust it. You can get it from a lot of reputable places. It's kind of a point and shoot type arrangement, and you can get those used a lot of times for $100 or $200. And smartphones are like $1,000 now, so you can get a smaller HD point and shoot camera, for $100, $200 sometimes. And then DSLRs are really the mainstay. A lot of video creators, use them. I use them. We're actually filming tonight, and I got my DSLR with me. So that's kind of stage 3. And then beyond that, I think, is when you're actually creating content for other people, not for yourself. So cinema cameras and stuff like that. But
Wow,
yeah.
that's fantastic. So if somebody wants to get hold of you, Dan, what would they need to do? How do they get hold of you?
Yeah, we're on every platform because we have to be, because we create content for our clients. So Cellcore Creative, CELLCORE Creative. We're on all the platforms. And then all of my stuff is underneath Antipreneur. I'm the Antipreneur. If you search either one of those things, you're going to find Dan, the person.
Is there a
So-
phone number that people can get hold of you
Sure,
at?
yeah, 810-579-6269. I take all my business calls on that line, so that's safe to use, yeah.
Very good, fantastic. So Facebook or any other platform, how do they find it? Just
Yeah.
through Cellcore?
Yep. Cellcore Creative is across all platforms. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm everywhere.
You
so
are everywhere.
Try and make it easy.
Good. Any other tip before we wrap up here?
Before you film yourself or someone else, take the time to think about what you're going to say. You don't have to script it. You don't have to memorize it, but think about it. The whole time I was driving here to see you, I had an idea of what I would like to share.
Okay.
And jotted down a couple notes for myself just to kind of stay on
Sure.
point. So whatever you're going to do, it's worth what we in the biz call pre-production to put together what it is that you want to accomplish at the end of your videos. So yeah, think about it before you shoot it.
Wow. So Dan had some good insights for us. I hope you took that. And today, video is the way to tell your story. And stories are powerful because we know facts tell, stories sell. If you want to engage people, get your message across to them, then that's the best way to do it. So thanks, Dan, for coming. I
thank you
really
for having me on.
appreciate it. And I look forward to talking to you soon then.
Me too.